in EU in the field of bio-based industrial sector, with a special focus on the environmental sustainability challenges of supply chain and value chain in the sector. She holds a master's degree in physical and PhD in industrial engineering from the University of Florence. So I'm very glad and happy to give her the floor.
Hello. Hello, everybody. And good morning, everybody. And first of all, many thanks to the organizers for inviting me to this very interesting webinar. And I would like to upload a presentation, although I'm sorry to say that I don't have the possibility to do that. So you should let me share I'm sorry that...
Yes, okay, you are a presenter now. You can share your screen.
I will present rather... Okay. It's uploading. Fine. Okay. So, as said, I work in the I work in the Directorate General for Research and Innovation of the European Commission, which means now managing the preparation of the research and innovation content of the next framework program, Horizon Europe. I will just introduce briefly some of the pieces of this framework program that you may know well, but indeed it may also be useful to have a recap of all the parts and all the state of the art of the progress of the launch of this program. The whole program, as you know, will last for 7 years, starting from 2021 on. And it's a powerful instrument to drive the systemic changes needed for the green, digital and just transition drawn by the European Green Deal communication. Its structure, as you see, shows 3 pillars. Pillar 1 on excellent science, Pillar 2, global challenges and European industrial competitiveness, and Pillar 3, innovative Europe. So the second pillar aims at delivering on these green and digital goals and also strengthening the European leadership and technological autonomy. And it is structured in 6 clusters. And for the scope of today's seminar, I think that the best is to focus on cluster 6, the last one, on food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. So managing the content of the framework program means, say, first drafting together with some sister DGs the strategic plan for the first 4 years, 2021 until 2024. And then also the first work program for the first 2 years for funding EU research and innovation projects through direct grants under the mentioned Pillar 2. And but second, it means also embedding in this Pillar 2 the work program of missions. Among the 5 missions that you see on the slides, the bio-based systems shall deliver within the scope at least of the one on soil health and food, but also the one on healthy oceans, seas, coastal and inland waters, and also the one on climate neutral and smart cities, but of course links to all other missions are, say, inevitable. Third, drafting this, managing the Horizon Europe means also complementing the Pillar 2, the direct grants under Pillar 2, with the work program of public-private partnerships. You see the many partnerships that are proposed within Cluster 6. And of course, the first one that I put this Circular Bio-Based Europe, Sustainable, Inclusive and Circular Bio-Based Solutions is the one most key partnership for the bio-based systems. And also to develop consequently the R&I activities of the bio-based systems. So coming back to the structure of the Horizon Europe and of the Pillar 2, especially Cluster 6 underpins itself 7 intervention areas. You see them on the screen. They are environmental observation, biodiversity and natural resources, agriculture, forest and rural areas, the one on seas, oceans and inland waters, the one on food systems, and the last 2, bio-based innovation systems and circular systems, to which we will focus mostly. All of them promote a systemic approach to planning and programming R&I activities under Horizon Europe by working closely together as well as within with other clusters, of course. And then, what is the? Let me explain how works the intervention logic of Horizon Europe. It consists in developing, as said, a strategic plan at a very broad top level, based on your policy priorities, and to which Horizon Europe will reply through sets of expected impacts. So the expected impacts you see highlighted in yellow and with a ring around. Those expected impacts are indeed from all the 6 clusters. And the work program is then developed at the level of each cluster. So the work program is specifically for each of the cluster. In order to meet the expected impacts planned, delivering outcomes from the projects. And as you see at the level of cluster, before topics, there are destinations. It is another level, and they are made of an introductory narrative, setting the scene, challenges and problems, and then specific expected impacts, and including so the overall rationale for the choice of the topics covered under the cluster, finally. So going to the cluster number 6, we will say that the intervention logic of the work program of cluster 6 follows the priorities set by the European Green Deal, which is a kind of collection and summary of the policies and the EU policy orientations. So the European Green Deal asks Europe to lead the just and green and digital transition to a healthy planet. To that, Cluster 6 has committed to contribute in many of the priorities: protecting nature, climate change, fight, farm-to-farm strategy, eliminating pollution, and ensuring a just transition for all, and leading the green change globally. So this is then translated into those 6 expected impacts of Cluster 6. So the expected impacts are on climate neutrality, biodiversity decline is halted, sustainable and circular use of natural resources, food and nutrition security, inclusive development of rural and urban areas, and finally governance model. So these are the expected impacts of Cluster 6. And of course, the bio-based systems reply to the call for the expected impact on sustainable and circular management and use of natural resources, as well as prevention of removal pollution, unlocking the potential of the bioeconomy, ensuring competitiveness and guaranteeing healthy soil, air, fresh and marine water for all, through better understanding the planetary boundaries and deployment of innovative technologies and other solutions, notably in primary production, forestry and biobased systems. So this is the expected impact, the top expected impacts to which the development of topics and calls then under Horizon Europe Pillar 2 will reply. So, and in fact, R&I contribution, in particular the R&I activities for biobased systems, will aim at the following specific, will aim, say, at reply to the broad expected impact with, say, the delivering in concrete at the end innovative solution for circular use and resources in a circular approach, the prevention and mitigation of pollution, the innovative biobased solutions, and of course, together with other, say, not minor, but sister, say, objectives, but mainly this will be the concrete contribution of R&I. And to those concrete actions, the two intervention areas on bio-based systems and circular systems will work for that together with the proposed public-private partnership on circular biobased Europe, which indeed it is still at the stage of not only a proposal, it's under discussion, but we hope that we will be able to say launch the partnership, of course, very soon. So to that respect, I would like just to describe shortly what are these intervention areas about. The intervention area on biobased innovation is expected to deliver on two main outcomes. The first one is the resilient and sustainable biomass production systems for high-value bio-based products, and also ensuring the functions of balanced ecosystems with a greater carbon sequestration capacity and biodiversity conservation. And secondly, this intervention area will support new bio-based value chains, including advanced sustainable biorefineries with lower environmental toxicity, better performances of processes and materials, including products' biodegradability in specific environments, including natural and both natural and controlled environments, and also promoting industrial symbiosis in order to use better the industrial waste streams. The intervention area on circular systems instead is expected to piloting and demonstrating innovative systemic circular solutions in various sectors, including plastics, addressing the challenges related to the circular use of natural resources, so recycling, redesign of products and processes, energy and material efficiency are the themes of the intervention area. Moreover, it will support also new circular business models and social models in terms of production and consumption patterns. And it will also develop, say, appropriate indicators of circularity. So to a more granular, say, detail, we can say that the R&I activities in bio-based sectors covered within the Horizon Europe core, say, work program and the partnership work program will be including a lot of different aspects, optimization of design of production processes, performances and end-of-life capacity, and then patterns for reusing, repairing, and remanufacturing and recycling products, and also increase the value generated per unit of biological resources, the use of bio-waste, decrease the toxicity and hazardous substances used, fostering industrial symbiosis, as already repeated many times, and last but not least, developing metrics and data on environmental sustainability, including aspects of the international trade of feedstock materials and products. So far, the level of progress of Horizon Europe is we are at the level of the consultation of the program committees from member states. And so these are, in brief, the instruments of the European Commission to deliver on research and innovation in the field of bio-based systems, not forgetting the Next Generation EU, which is the large-scale recovery plan launched by the European Commission, indeed responding to the coronavirus crisis that should lay the foundation of a modern and more sustainable Europe. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope to receive if you have questions on the slides, on the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. I remember that we can interact always with Mentimeter with questions and answer or feedback, or using case the WebEx chat. We start now with the open round table with our speakers. I just give to my colleague the time to share the presentation. Okay, this is the round table composition. Of course, me, Serena, Karen, and me will help the moderation, and then I am happy to introduce briefly the distinguished speakers we'll have today. The first one, okay. I start in order with Valérie Guillard. Sorry for the pronunciation. Is professor at the University of Montpellier, where she teaches food engineering. She is coordinating the Horizon 2020 Global Project. It's a project that supports us in the organization of this event. And she's an expert of mass transfer characterization and modeling and designer of many decision support tools for food packaging application that will be further upgraded in global framework. After that, I have to introduce Christophe Cotillon, is Deputy Manager of ACT IA, responsible of European Affairs International Cooperation. He is facilitating and improving participation of Actia Centre in European project in the field of bioeconomy and food sector, including food packaging. At present, Christophe is the coordinator of the MyPack project. Even in this case, the MyPack project is one of the collaborators of this event. Luca Galuppo from the private sector, non-Nonanni marketing director, has been working for 20 years in marketing, in particular for fast-moving consumer goods, both in strategic and operational marketing at national and international level. At the present moment, he is marketing director for Nonnanni, a brand leader in the fresh cheese market, and all of us, I think, we appreciate your products. After that, Veronique Deby is working as expert at the Belgian Food Agency since 2008, in particular as an expert of foodstuff of non-animal origin since 2008, and on food contact materials since 2017. At the Belgian level, she follows up on the activities in the field of food contact materials controls, and she prepares and participates in meetings in the field of contact materials legislation in collaboration with the Federal Public Health food chain safety and environment. Instead, at the European level, she's the Belgian representative in the expert working group on food contact materials. Enrico Bassi has graduated in design and engineering and product design at Politecnico di Milano, very famous university in Italy. He worked as Fab Lab manager since 2011, when they coordinated the first Italian Fab Lab. He's an instructor for the Fab Academy, the international course about digital fabrication. He has taught digital fabrication in design academies and masters. The present moment, he also coordinates the Fab Lab Open Dot in Milan, and he manages national, international, and European Union funded projects, in particular on community-based healthcare and circular economy. Ian Ferguson, having worked for the Co-op for 31 years, Lane is one of the UK retail packaging's most respected members. His remit is to ensure that the Co-op is doing the right thing when it comes to sustainability, encompassing everything from food packaging to food waste. Under his stewardship, the Co-op, I don't know if I well pronounced, has made a number of radical changes to the way in which it packages food and produced. Is regularly invited to government forum advising on issues of packaging and the environment. In May 2018, Retail Bible, the grocer, also named Lane as one of the 10 most powerful people in packaging, which was followed by him collecting a prestigious Grocer Gold Award, the Green Initiative of the Year in June 2018. Milika Mladenovic, is the PhD candidate at the Wageningen University in the domain of consumer behavior and marketing. Currently, she's working on a Horizon 2020 research project in which she's researching consumer acceptance of sustainability packaging technology. Prior to that, Milika completed a research master in behavioral science for Radboud University from Netherlands and obtained 2 bachelor's degrees in psychology and business management in USA. Last but not the least, my colleague Matteo Sabini is project manager and trainer for APRE, the Agency for the Promotion of the European Research, is working in the bioeconomy agri-food sector and supporting campaign the sector as member of the agri-food sector group of the Enterprises European Network, EEN. He's working the BioBridge project also, where APRE is responsible for the definition of an action plan for raising consumers' awareness on bio-based products. This is the eminent speakers that we'll have and that will animate the round table. I want to target them with the first question. And also there is a general questions to everyone, to all the speakers and the attendees. I again invite the attendees, the participants, this event to interact with us using Mentimeter, www.
So please take your smartphone and use another time code 8623689. So what are the main challenges in the development and uptake of the bio-based packaging for food? And this question will be in background during the participant speech, so you can interact with them, you can do your questions or maybe consideration. So please feel free to start by now and during the conversation.
Okay. In the meanwhile, that the attendees, the participants reply to these general questions, I would like to ask to the first 2 Panelists, we have Cotillon and Guillard. You can reply in the order that you want. The following question. MyPact and GlowPack projects are developing bio-based solution for packaging. What is the status of the art? What are the issues you are facing in the development of your solution? You can, the floor is yours. You can reply, please, with a spot answer to maximum 3 minutes each.
So, who is starting?
As you want, Valérie.
Okay, I can start.
You can start.
Okay. So, good morning, everybody. Valérie Guillard from University of Montpellier. Just some elements about the GlowPack project, because in GlowPack we are scaling up bio-based solutions for food packaging application. But these bio-based solutions are above all biodegradable, uncompostable. I mean biodegradable in natural condition. And it is important to not focus only on the resources, but also on the end-of-life issue and fate of materials into the environment after usage. We are fighting to this big issue of accumulation of persistent plastic into our environment, and it's very important to propose some solutions that are not only bio-based, but also bio-benign after use. And biodegradation is actually the only solution that could close the carbon cycle through biodegradation and that could avoid this accumulation of persistent plastic particles. So that's why we are focusing on these two aspects, bio-based and biodegradable. And a second very important point is the origin of the resource. It's not possible at the time being to increase the pressure on land, on resources, water use, etc., by producing some crops that are dedicated to bioplastic production. That's why in GlowPack we are focusing on a type of biopolymer, a microbial biopolymer that is PHA, that could be produced from agro-food residues with no competition with food. For instance, we are using some food waste or cheese waste to produce some biofermentation, this PHA material. And these PHA are also biodegradable at the end of life in natural condition. That means fit for home compost, and so with zero risk of persistent plastic particles at the end. So to answer the question very quickly about the issues we are facing now with this type of biopolymer. So two main issues at the time being. The first one is probably, and the most important one, is the biological viability of the biopolymers we are producing in the project. This variability is due to the origin of the material coming from bacteria and biofermentation. Actually, at this moment, it's hampered the large industrialization of the product, simply because processing parameters need to be constantly adapted to fulfill with the variability of the polymer. So it's not enough satisfactory at the time being. Machine processing machines for injection molding, thermoforming, etc. need to be adapted because this microbial biopolymer does not behave exactly as fossil-based materials. So, and packaging manufacturers are not really ready to change these machines, etc. So there's some work is still needed for that. And second big issue we are facing is also the perception of the benefit of biodegradable material, perception by end users, consumers, by the citizens in general. There is still too much confusion about terms. What is really bio-based? What does biodegradable mean? Compost, etc. So a lot of mistakes have been made in the past by putting on the market some bio-based solutions that were not really sustainable because of end-of-life issue, etc. And now we are facing this issue that biodegradability is often opposed to recyclability. Why they should not? People may be reluctant to use biodegradable material because in some countries collection of such organic products is missing, etc. But it's just a very short-term vision, and we are now fighting with some long-term issues, accumulation of plastic and so on. So we need to propose a long-term solution, efficient long-term solution. So just to conclude, to finish, we need to demonstrate the real benefit of bio-based and biodegradable solution, and we need to restore the confidence of end users and citizens, the society at large. I let the floor to my colleague.
Thank you, Valerie.
So hello everybody. So I'm representing the project MyPack I am coordinating. So MyPack is an innovation action, also working on food packaging, and 42 months duration and 18 partners, with half of them from industry. So the main challenges we are facing we are trying, of course, to substitute fossil-based packaging by bio-based packaging. But the problem is, of course, the resources, availability of resources of bio-based materials, the homogeneity of composition, of course, that is important. And another problem is, of course, is compostability, biodegradability. We see that for bioplastic, it is not sometimes it's not very easy to be compostable compared to fossil-based packaging. The properties are not better for biodegradability and compostability. So that is a problem sometimes when we analyze LCA, when we make LCA analysis about environmental properties. Then we are inspecting, I would say, 7 technologies of packaging. And for all these technologies, we try to substitute fossil-based packaging by bio-based packaging. So we have these technologies are almost ready to be applicable in the market, but we just push them. We try to go a step beyond to apply them in the market. But sometimes it's not very easy, and we try to find other applications for this bio-based packaging. And but we have already obtained very good results. And one result is patented and already applicable, nearly applicable in the market with fresh cut vegetables. We can increase this blow technology. I will explain it perhaps later, but we have got nice results, and with also bioplastic and multi-layer bioplastics to improve the preservation of products.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this first question and answer. I move now to Mr. Galuppo from Nonno Nanni with the specific question we prepared for him. Nonno Nanni has recently introduced more sustainable packaging, biodegradable and compostable, on its 100-gram Stracchino cheese. Why did you do this choice?
So first of all, hello everybody, and thank you for having me on this forum. So first of all, non-only, just a little bit of background. Sustainability is on top of the agenda for non-only. It has been for many years. So we are always looking for ways to increase to do better in our sustainability, in the sustainability area. We started many years ago compensating the carbon footprint for some of our key products. We buy clean energy for renewable sources. We have a biological water purifier and photovoltaic system and a cogenerator to produce electricity. And we implemented also water and energy consumption monitoring systems just to minimize the waste. So this is the background. So we've always paid a lot of attention to everything which can increase our sustainability. And with this new project, we really wanted to have, we were looking for a material that allowed us to reduce the fossil plastic waste. And we've seen before the application of this material on other categories, especially on dry products, but we didn't see that applied to a fresh product like a fresh cheese, which involves water and humidity in a way. So it has its own challenges. So we basically we wanted to it was a challenge. We wanted to find out to develop something which was more sustainable, and we found a biodegradable, compostable material was the ideal way to do that. And so this material that we developed is together with suppliers, of course, is made from residues of agricultural processing and other renewable resources. And it goes in the organic waste, so it makes it easy for consumer to let's say allocate in the waste, and through the process of industrial composting, it will become usable as compost to fertilize the ground. So we saw this as an ideal circle, a virtuous cycle, the ideal example of a circular economy that we are trying to achieve with all the projects that we implemented during the last years. And so for us it was challenging, but we were very happy at the end with the result, and to be able to develop something like that for a fresh cheese, which, as I said before, it has its own challenges.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your reply. I would like now ask to Veronique Deby a question that probably even is very even from the citizens arise. So we know pretty well the fossil-based plastic properties, but what about the bio-based plastic in food packaging? Is there any risk for the food integrity or for the health?
Hello, good morning, everybody. So I represent the Belgium Food Safety Agency. The main advantage is that many bio-based materials have over fossil-based plastics are the use of renewable resources in their production, including agri-food byproducts, and in many cases the biodegradability and or compostability of the finished product. We can offer an alternative to disposal in landfill, and this is particularly important when the product is designed to be disposable, as in the case of packaging. What about the risk? the use of bio-based materials derived from natural sources is likely to extend the range of risk beyond the known components of the packaging materials. So considerable quantities of agri-food byproducts are available and attractive as source of packaging materials. For example, these may be contaminated with naturally produced contaminants, for example, mycotoxin or biotoxin. Another example is the organic component, for example, dioxin or inorganic compounds can be present as a result of environmental and geological conditions or the after effect of incidents such as fires. Other compounds such as nitrates, pesticides, and veterinary medicines residues can also arise due to agricultural practices, for example, and we have also the process contaminant, such as acrylamide. I can say that there is an additional risk from the inclusion of nanoparticles, for example. So this has been used to improve barrier function and to achieve similar or better shelf life than obtained from fossil-based plastic. And we can also mention the potential risk of allergens, especially if protein-based materials are used for constructions of packaging or used as food films. So this is my contribution for this question.
Thank you very much indeed. We move now to Mr. Enrico Bassi with a specific question for him about the environmental impact of the products. Since that the 80% of products environmental impacts are determined at the design stage, what are the main issues you have to take into account at this stage in order to guarantee the future sustainability of the products?
Yes, welcome everybody. Thanks for the question and inviting me. As I was saying before, I'm managing a Fab Lab. A Fab Lab is an open space that has technology and use technologies with a social impact. So we are more on the systemic part and on the interaction with people part, let's say so. Now, first thing to point out is that designing is thinking about the system as a whole. So when we talk about how to design the system to make it more sustainable, it really means how to involve every stakeholder of the chain around the table to allow them to express what are they need. So we work with users, schools, companies that use or treat the waste materials and bioplastics as well. And everybody has a different need. Sometimes they say, for instance, what works in a lab doesn't work in our structures, or they say because of the behavior of people overusing single-use plastic, now our implants are not capable composting that much material. So it's really thinking about all the aspects of the system. And the way to do that is really to engage people. So it's sometimes hard, in particular when the research that you're bringing on is very advanced and very experimental, to take time and explain what you're doing to the people that will use it. And not just the people, but also, who's gonna collect the material, recycle the material, process it, and so on, or companies that need to adopt it, seeing that that's an issue sometimes. And the way to do that, in our opinion, is really through co-design. So it's really to engage all the actors to understand what are the specific needs. Those needs are not related to the features of materials and packaging. They're really related to the way people are used to do things. And I think that that's an important aspect to keep in mind in designing features and the acceptance of something innovative.
Thank you very much, Indy, for your contribution. I will now ask to Sir Ferguson, what are the main factors that hinder the wide application of bio-based packaging from the perspective of retailers?
Okay, good morning, everybody. I'd like to answer this from on 3 points of view, 3 areas of application. The first is on carrier bags, where we are one of the major retailers in the UK that have compostable carrier bags. This is about learning from other states, so emulating the Italian system for using compostable carrier bags for food waste collection, which is proving more and more successful. That reduces plastic pollution, improves soil health potentially, and increases individual consumer awareness of the food they waste. That is, there are challenges with that, with getting acceptance, but they are not the big challenges. The next area I would talk about would be the invisible areas of application. That's things like the small labels you put on fruit and the plastic that's used to bind tea bags. In those applications, the applications, the materials are fairly invisible to the food waste collectors. So there is virtually no barrier to application there, because there are already conventional materials being used and collected in food waste collections, and all we're doing is actually improving the outcomes for the food waste processing systems. So the fruit labels we use now are all compostable, and we are working to make our tea bags compostable. The big area where we see challenges is on what I would call the visible pieces of packaging that replace conventional packaging that's wrapped around food. And the big challenge is the acceptance into the municipal food waste collection systems, because the municipalities can't tell the difference between conventional plastics and compostable plastics that would be okay in the system. So we need to develop new systems for communicating that acceptance to the municipalities, bearing in mind that those food waste collection systems are basically a sea of food waste, and in some cases, if you are not careful, you're expecting an operator in those plants to dive into a sea of food waste, not literally, to recover materials, to decide whether they're compostable or not. And that would be both very challenging physically and challenging technically, because I don't know many people who could instantly tell the difference between conventional plastic and compostable plastic. So we need to find solutions for that. And those are the major challenges. There is another challenge that I would raise, and that's there's an expectation that biodegradable or compostable materials are brought to the market perfect and cause no problems anywhere else. And it's not an expectation that we see from conventional plastics being brought to the market. But they are not expected to be perfect. We will challenge their recyclability, but it's accepted at the moment that they may not be recycled. So that's my contribution, Danielle.
Outstanding. Thank you very much, Sir Ferguson. With the last two interventions, now we have the chance to go inside in two projects that contribute to organization of this event. I start with Mladenovic from IPAC project, in which they conducted a research to assess the consumers' acceptance of bio-based packaging. And the question is, what are the main constraints that the consumers for the consumers to adopt the bio-based packaging? The floor is yours.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Millie. You can call me Millie for the sake of easiness. I work on the YPAC project, and as you said, we have assessed consumer acceptance of bio-based packaging for food. And here I would like to raise a positive finding, which is that consumers are generally in favor and actually prefer bio-based packaging over conventional plastic packaging, or at least the idea of. However, we did identify a substantial group of consumers of about 40% of our survey population that doesn't really have a clear preference when it comes to choices between bio-based and conventional plastic packaging, which in itself could be seen as, let's say, a constraint, because if they don't have a clear preference, it doesn't matter to them which choice they're making. And when it comes to these consumers, the most prominent thing about them was lack of knowledge of sustainability. So I would like to say that this is the first point that I would like to raise, which would be that lack of knowledge of sustainability in general seems to predict consumers' indifference towards bio-based versus conventional plastic packaging choices. And then the second point that I would like to raise is the one regarding price. From what we know so far, it is likely that bio-based packaging, at least at its beginnings, will be pricier than conventional plastic packaging. And based on our results, we see that the majority of the consumers is against the idea of paying more for plastic packaging, especially when plastic packaging is just a byproduct of the actual packaged product that you're buying. And if this has to be the case, that the price should be higher, then some amount of consumers is willing to pay 5 to 10% more for such packaging options, but nothing substantially more than that. So 2 points. One is lack of sustainability knowledge, and the second one is the price impact. Yes. And I hope you could hear me well over my raging computer. I think, yeah.
We heard you very well. Thank
Okay.
you, Milik. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Last but not the least, the floor to Matteo Sabini from BioBridge project. BioBridge project recently is publishing the results of a survey on consumers' purchase habits of bio-based products. What are the main challenges emerged?
Yeah. Thank you, Daniele. And yes, so also BioBridges recently did this study, this investigation, and it's nice to see that we have some similar points that we can highlight, me and Millie, because also has defined some of the challenges that are really similar. So we did this survey to more than 1,000 people from 39 countries. Yes, the first thing that we can highlight is not on sustainability, but the fact that people doesn't know what a bio-based product is. I mean, if we see around 40% of people participating in the survey don't know what is a bio-based product and don't know what is the bioeconomy in general. So, and it's really important to say that the large majority of people participating in the survey it's not belonging to what we call the the bioeconomy community. So are people that are not working in the sector and are just consumers, okay? So it's really important that these terms are not known, and there is a lot of confusion with other terms like compostability, recyclability, and so on. So people really mix these terms, and they make a lot of confusion to understand when they shop what is a bio-based product and what is not a bio-based product. So there is confusion, lack of knowledge in terms, and of course the price is a barrier for sure. We asked them what are the motivations to not buy bio-based products, and we saw that the price is a barrier, not only because they don't want to pay more respect to the fossil-based, but also because a large amount of people say that they could not pay more, so they cannot afford this. So probably if they will have more money, they will do. However, also as asked to the people, what is the availability, they willing to pay more for bio-based products, and they say that in general they are in favor to pay more, but just not more than 5%. So this is in line with what Millie said. And two other points, we asked also to which sector they would buy, and in general, people say that they would buy on packaging and single-use products, so they're in favor to prefer such products respect to the fossil-based one. And there is another big point that emerged, that people doesn't recognize, doesn't perceive that could be also other impact that bio-based product could have, because what is well recognized is the impact on the environment. So they think that they are sustainable, and so they are in favor for them because they can have a big impact in the environment, reducing on pollution, reducing on plastic, and so on. But since the European Commission, for instance, the European Commission it focuses the bioeconomy and all of the action not only on the environment, but also in the job creation, in the local development, and this is something that is not recognized by the people. The impact on the society and on the economics. So, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Matteo. Well, we finished the first round of question and answer. Before to go through the second round table, I would like to give the floor to my colleague Serena to give a general overview about your reply on Mentimeter, and after that to introduce the following general questions that we'll ask to you. The floor is yours, Serena.
Yes, thank you, Daniele. So we can cluster your answer. We have 24 replies that focus about durability, cost, good performance. We can see that one of your important points is a good performance and food safety. Biodegradability and food safety, safety, convenience, and performance with the bio-based product, and of course also the cost, because what emerged from your replies is that it's important to take into consideration food compatibility and cost. Good performance and competitive price, but also the acceptance through the entire food system, from the food producer through the waste management, but also from the side of consumers, because it's important that consumers trust the bio-based product. Another point is the funds, partnership, good follow-up of the project, and in general the funds. So I think we can cluster your answer in these 4 big points. We can go to the next question for introduce the second round table. That is, so the screen, I think, okay, that is what are the possible solutions to increase the adoption of bio-based packaging for food. So after the main challenge, we can go now to explore what's the possible solution. I give the floor another time to Daniele for the second round table.
Thank you very much indeed, Serena. This is the general questions we asked to the participants, and we continue in the meanwhile with the specific questions to our speakers. So we can follow the previous order. So I will start with the Cotillon Guillard with the same question for them. The question is, what is the contribution that the research can give to increase the availability of bio-based packaging for food? And specifically, what needs to make bio-based packaging competitive in terms of property, cost, that we see that is an issue that emerged, with fossil-based one?
Christophe, do you want to start?
Yes, I can start if you want. So, on my opinion, what can research, how research can contribute? I think that there are many projects that have been already funded in FP7 in about food packaging. The problem is that the solutions were not really put in the market. So the effort in Horizon 2020 that the European Commission made was really to support innovation action and to really try to push the solutions already close to the market to be really introduced in the market. And I think it's really important, and it is done because by the multi-stakeholders approach, I think it's very important in this kind of projects to try to work together between researchers, but also industrials, consumers, and retailers. I think it's important to have this multi-stakeholders approach in this project. And of course, in the point of view of industry, if you want to push these new technologies in the market, you have to make incentives about cost, benefit. If the industrial that will apply, will use this packaging for these products is not supported really by incentives, it will be difficult because it will try to use the fossil-based packaging because it's more easy. It doesn't have to change the equipment, the machines so for him it would be easier. So you have really to put incentives to push the industrials to adopt this new solution. It's from my point of view.
Thank you very much. I would like ask instead to Luca Galuppo. What are the main issues you faced in introducing?
Daniel?
Sorry.
May I add something to complete the speech of Christophe? Just a few words. Just because based on Glopac's experience, I think that there are 3 main things that are missing to make bio-based packaging competitive. The first one is the sourcing of the material at the beginning, because at this moment there's no commercial material available on the market that satisfies at the same time the resource origin, bio-based origin without food competition, and biodegradability as end of life. Okay, so this lack of raw materials, it's a big issue for packaging and food manufacturers that would like to push forward some sustainable packaging solution. So PHA, for example, could answer these double constraints, but PHA commercially available right now on the market are very low in quantity. So we need to build an entire European supply chain for this type of biopolymer. So for that we need some investors. Technology is existing in the lab and has already been scaled up, but and we have the feedstock, of course, to produce this type of biopolymers, but we need the facilities for this large-scale production, and of course, cost of the material will follow the cost decreased because it's just related to the level of production. The second point is the technical barriers that we need to raise, still need to raise. Food contact agreement, for instance, for material that are issued from waste and residues, so we need to obtain the food contact agreement, of course. And I already mentioned this biological viability for biopolymers. Packaging manufacturers are not ready to adapt their machines and want a material that perfectly fits their own constraints, but I think it's also an experience stemming from Golopac. I think that we should think on how to adapt existing facilities to the particularities of new materials, new polymers, and not the contrary. The future of bio-based solution is probably based on compromise. Okay. And the last point, it has already been mentioned by Christophe, is the incentives. I think financial incentives are really necessary to help food companies to adopt bio-based and biodegradable solutions, but also to help municipalities to set some bio-waste collecting and after-use systems, etc. And also to encourage companies to propose maybe reusable containers instead of single-use packaging. Okay, and that could help to build something more sustainable for the future. That's all from me.
Thank you very much indeed, Valerie, and sorry again if I skipped you.
No problem.
Thank you. I give now the floor to Luca Galuppo to ask him to reply. What are the main issues that you faced in introducing the new material in your products? For instance, technical issues, price increasing, performance of material, and in case, how did you square it?
So yeah, it was not a fast or easy development. It took us 2 years to develop this new packaging with this new material. First of all, the first challenge was to scout globally for the right raw materials. So it was a scouting phase, and we had to benchmark several different options, and not all of them were working properly, especially because our priority was to ensure food safety, no change in taste and quality of the final product. So this took quite a long time, the scouting stage. Then another challenge was very practical. At the end, when we found the right material, some of them were actually great, but were also looking ideal, too crunchy, for instance, or too not elastic enough. So basically, after all this stage, we realized that one important thing keeping for us is to have a perfect sealing, because as a fresh cheese, you need to really preserve it perfectly with the perfect sealing of the material. So, but then we realized then the machines in the production weren't, the new material was not behaving in the same way we predicted. So at the end of the day, we had also to change and adapt the machines in the production. So this was another little big challenge, actually. But at the end, we put in place the right changes, and we were able to launch it. Of course, this was challenges related to the development stage, but then there are challenges related, as others have mentioned before, related to the cost issue. For sure, the new material costs more, and we as a company decided to bear this cost, not to transfer it to consumers, because we know we're aware that consumers are not willing to pay more for this. And this to me is very much connected to the cultural thing. People need to know more about the benefit of biodegradable, compostable material. They need to know more about that, because in that way there will be more demand from consumers about that. And then, the virtuous cycle begins. More demand, this would justify also accepting to pay a premium price. And but if you don't nail that consumer understanding, consumer knowledge, consumer cultural thing, it's pretty hard then to get it rolling in a way. And so, in that regard, our key challenge in terms of marketing was to communicate it not only through the conventional messages, but also creating, as we could, a little bit of culture about it. So content on the social media, content on our website describing the features of the new material, the benefit of the new material, what is that, how it goes back to nature. So making more tangible for them what about the benefits of the final product. So I think the educational part was more on our focus as a marketing team than compared to any other launch we made in the past.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution. I would like instead ask to Veronique Deby regarding the possible risk perceived on food safety. How do you communicate with other actors of the value chain, for the industry, consumers?
Yes, I have 3 points for a good communication about these possible risks. Firstly, the legislation, secondly, a risk evaluation, and thirdly, result of a research project. So firstly, the basic principle of the existing legislation on food contact materials has to be applied by the food business operators. And in the European legislation, we have a framework regulation, and in particular the Article 3. So this is the basis, and this is important to be applied. For information, discussion on bioplastics are in progress in the European Working Group on food contact materials at the Commission at the moment, and we are preparing the next amendment of the European regulation on the plastic materials. So it can be also an information for the business operators in the future. Secondly, a risk evaluation is always necessary for each case. Each situation has to be considered case by case, and we have to communicate this clearly. But we can have a general message, and this is the following. So, yes, the impact of climate change as a result of increasing average temperatures can include more rainfall, rising sea levels, and so on. And this event may mobilize contaminants within the environment, which may lead to increased level in crops and animals, and thus derived biomaterials used for packaging. But, however, the greatest risk to the consumer will arise from the consumption of contaminated foods rather than from food contact materials. And the last point, we will inform on the results of research project with official communications for the consumers, for the professional federation, for the business operator. And for example, the Belgian authorities follow the new trends of the food contact materials with the development of specific research projects on these topics in the Belgian universities, and in particular the alternative of the plastics and the bio-based materials. So this is my contribution.
Thank you. Thank you. I would now ask to Enrico Bassi, what are the possible solutions to design and ease the uptake of more sustainable packaging products and ahead? Is it possible to include the design stage also the consumers to engage them even in this phase?
Well, yeah, our approach is really to have everybody on the same table, and the consumer is the key point. Acceptance is not just a matter of functionality, even if that's a must, of course. So I really appreciate the example that Luca Galuppo brought, with very practical, even on the company level, on what it takes to change something. But it's fundamental that the users accept innovations. At least a small group at the beginning. Usually, the first one accepting something new is around 3% of the total population, so it's a very little group. But there are dynamics that we can use to leverage on these 3% and make it grow, so go from innovators to early adopters, and from there to the main market, changing a bit the rules, of course, on how things are handled. So it's fundamental to have them on the stage, of course, and get feedbacks from them. And we have to think on two different levels. One is the systems, is a systemic level, so it's thinking about all the stakeholders and how things move from one to the other. Acceptance might be a problem not only for the users, but maybe for the retailers or for the waste management system in the city and so on. So that could be a tricky point along the line. And the other thing is, of course, the design in itself, because if that leverage on emotional, aspects, on the feeling that people get when they use things, the noise that the packaging is making, if that becomes unique and recognizable, first of all, it's easier for user to understand that that's actually a different kind of product, a different kind of packaging. And that becomes something that you check when you buy something after a while based on your experience. It also reduces the problems on the second half of the life. So one of the trickiest parts for the waste management of compostable materials is that sometimes people use normal plastic bags to collect it. And that becomes a problem in the chain because it needs to mechanically be filtered out, and that's a waste of compost or contamination of the compost at least. So I think it's important to evaluate case by case, and when we work with companies on that topic, everybody has a very specific need that is hard to necessarily find through desk research. So definitely design can do a lot from packaging design, so the emotional aspect of the product, to the service and system design, understanding how things move from one area to the other. It's hard to give a general rule, though. You really need to work case by case, company by company, or system by system.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I turn the question, but on the point of view of the retailers, to Sir Ferguson. And so what can the retailers do to ease the wide adoption of bio-based packaging? Are you conducting an activity on these issues?
I think the way to answer this is that we are doing what we can in the constraints of the current municipal waste management system. But taking that back a step, I think that there's two ways of looking at this. There are some things where one could say that there's a great benefit from adopting a compostable material, and that's the fruit labels is the definite one. Tea bags, another one, and it should become a requirement that those materials are made from compostable materials. And it's potentially carrier bags as well, as they have done in Italy. It's been a very great success, the requirement for carrier bags to be compostable in Italy. It's not perfect yet, but it's getting there, and it has severely reduced the amount of plastic contamination in the food waste system. So those things they should become a requirement. Where there is a development that brings a clear benefit, then that should be considered going forward by governments. Where there is less of an issue, less of a positive benefit that can be identified, what we need is better acceptance into the municipal food waste systems, and that needs a marking system, and not just a logo, an all-over marking system to make identification in the food waste much simpler, so we can create confidence in the municipalities that the food waste is not being contaminated with conventional plastic. We also need some consumer education so that customers understand what we're talking about. We possibly need some recycling routes for some of the bio-based materials. So, for example, if we start using a lot of PLA, then that can readily be recycled. So that's probably better to be recycled than to go into the food waste system. So that needs a different way of looking at it. I think overall what we need is some standardization of labeling terms, because we have a lot of confusion out there. We have bio-based conventional plastics, and we have fossil-based compostable plastics, and it creates a huge amount of confusion amongst the consumers because they just do not understand it. So we need to cut through all that with some clear information.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like ask now to Milica, according with your study, what are the actions that could increase the acceptance and purchase of bio-based products among consumers?
Yes, I think my answer here piggybacks off of my first answer and also off of what Ian was just talking about. I would like to emphasize 2 points. First point being investing in education of the consumers on several fronts. First, investing in general knowledge of sustainability and enabling the consumers on a large scale to know what constitutes more sustainable choices, what constitutes more sustainable lifestyles, and of course, making this available and easily achievable goal by the marketeers and policymakers and so on. And second of all, also more specifically educating the consumers about the particular issue of this large influx of conventional plastic and its poor management and its general negative impact on the environment. And also, of course, how compostable or bio-based packaging can help this issue. And I think this would be a lot of effort and a huge project, but a very necessary one indeed. And then the second thing I would like to talk about is again the issue of labeling. We conducted a study in which we were interested to see how consumers, what are their intended waste disposal practices with bio-based packaging. And we manipulated the colors of the packaging as well as the verbal claims on the packaging. And we see that the consumers have a tendency to discard bio-based packaging with conventional packaging, which is a great risk for the existing recycling streams, but also it defeats the purpose of bio-based packaging. So what we found out is that the biggest potential of getting the consumers to properly discard of this bio-based packaging is when there is a clear and very explicit label on the verbal claim, by what I mean by label, on the packaging. So the conventional OK Compost logo in itself is not enough, and neither is, let's say, a brown or green packaging tray enough to nudge the consumers far enough to properly dispose of this packaging. So this is where we need to focus, at least based on our findings, this is where we need to focus on claims and straightforward claims of the intended waste disposal. Yeah.
Thank you, Milica. I give now the floor again to my colleague, Matteo Sabini, for BioBreach. And the question is, what are the actions needed to push consumers to buy bio-based products instead of fossil-based ones?
Yeah, thank you. So yes, we are identifying a list of possible activities to increase the consumer awareness, and the study will be published in January. But what we can say, I mean, I can find that I can agree with several of the speakers about the possible actions on consumers, because what we found, for instance, is that there is the strong need to inform, to educate the consumers about the bio-based products, about the impact of on the environment and so on. The interesting thing is that, for instance, they would like to receive information on the products by brand. First of all, by researchers through television and through social networks, but also by brands. So I like the approach used by Nonnanni, that I mean, Mr. Gruppo said that they are doing a lot of effort in order to educate consumers. So what we found is that consumers are open to receive information about this from brands. And of course, also the label, it's really important. And what we found is that they would be informed about from label, and the label can also help them to better understand, to distinguish from the various things, various properties and typology of products, because there is a lot of confusion, as I said before, about what is bio-based, compostable, not compostable, and also in some countries such products are confused with the organic food, because in some countries, for instance in Italy, the bio prefix is related to something that is healthy, and it's something made as organic, but we are talking about two different things. And yes, and the last thing is the incentives. We saw that people would have incentives in terms of, for instance, the tax reduction for buying bio-based products in general, but also they could be from retailers in terms of for instance, some award behaviors, but what is more important for them, be informed. They say that they would be motivated to buy bio-based products if they would receive more information about them. So education, information, and also incentives are the three main areas in which to act.
Thank you, Matteo. We are now closing the second round, and before to give the floor to Serena Karen for the overview of your answers, the general question, just give you a general overview about the participants. At the moment, we have 60 participants in the event, so we are, and the total number remains stable for all the events, so we are very happy. Say that, I leave the floor to Serena Karen for a general overview of the questions and the following third and last questions.
Yes, thank you, Daniele. So in this session, we have 14 replies, and this maybe means that most of you agree with what's written from someone else. We can cluster in three big groups in line with what has been said so far. The first one is consumer education, the second is cost and incentive. For consumer education, we have an increased consumer awareness and establish a more strict regulation. Inform consumers on impact of the bio-based products on the environment, increase consumers awareness and lower cost, and it is directly linked to the second group, because we have lowering the cost of the production, little conversion cost of manufacturing infrastructure, lower the cost of the bio-based products, and the balance between cost and consumer awareness. But we have also the group of incentives, because from the replies emerged that it is important to increase the incentives for producers to replace the traditional packaging with the bio-based ones, financial incentives, and last but not least, to make the bio-based products more recognizable and desirable from the, of course, from the consumer side. Okay, I think it's all. We can go to the last question of the red table, that is, what are the recommendations and possible action to implement in order to increase the adoption of bio-based packaging food? So I give the floor another time to Daniele, and you can start to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Serena. This is a general question to all the participants and speaker. I call you in following the previous order. And I would like also to ask to reply integrating another question that we received in the chat that I think is really interesting to give evidence to this question. And what is when is necessary for research to find data on the quantity of waste produced by the agri-food industry with the aim of valorize them? Is there a database available in which find this kind of data? So I just ask you, to all the speakers, to reply to the questions you see on the screen, and also if you know that some database is available also to this question. Please, we are perfect in time. Reply in 1 minute, no more than 1 minute. So spot answer. Thank you. I start with Christophe Cotillon or Valérie Guillard. I want you. It's up to you.
Okay, I can start. So just to summarize, I would say that of course we have to standardize the quality of bio-based material. Then we have to develop incentives for industrial using this packaging, and of course consumer education is very important. But I would just add that another route also is to address to the consumers is to try to not use so much packaging, because of course we replace bio-based fossil-based by bio-based packaging, but we have also to educate consumer to not use so much packaging. And I think we are working now on reusable packaging, and I think that it's a new route also for the food packaging. Thank you.
Thank you. Valérie,
Yes, if I can just add a word and to complete the point of view of Christophe. I think that as researchers, we have a role to play, and of course, main role is to dissemination, communication. Of course, we can communicate about the real benefit of bio-based and biodegradable solution, of course, and to communicate also about what is really a packaging that is fully sustainable. We didn't discuss that so much this morning, but the role of food packaging is to preserve food and reduce food waste and loss, and it's also an important issue. Sometimes we cannot replace the packaging by something else. We cannot remove simply the packaging. We need this packaging. But I fully agree with Christophe. We need to focus also on reusable containers, not only single-use packaging. I think we need to educate consumers for that, but not only consumer. We need also to encourage food companies, food producers to put reusable containers on the market. And of course, we have complete new business and concept and new economy to build, but I think it's a very challenging topic for the future.
Thank you. Luca Galuppo, would you like to add something?
Yeah. So I agree with what was said before by many of us. First of all, we need to create awareness and culture, consumer awareness. So it's important to support, to make educational campaigns about these materials, and to create that in a way that virtuous cycle, so that the demand goes on. So the wheel starts spinning in a way, and this is to me this is one key thing. The other, I think it's important for companies to have the possibility to get in touch easily with experts in the area. So, because not all companies have the internal capabilities to find the right solutions or to make the right decision, especially we need to consider this is very new. So not all companies or smaller companies can afford to have a development team dedicated to that. So we need more, let's say, collaborations with the experts probably. And then at the end, the reduction of costs. It has been said by all of us, I think. I think the reduction of cost will be one of, or supported also through incentives, maybe for the virtuous companies or incentives to consumers, but in a way, find a way to compensate this cost increase because it's still there. So this is a key barrier for many other producers to adopt the new materials. So I think it has been said here and there by all of us, but I think these are the three key things to do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The floor now to Veronique Deby with the same.
Yeah, hello. So I can summarize by one word. The information, the communication, and the sensibilization are very important for us because we receive many questions from the consumers, from the food business operators about this subject, and we see that this problem, this subject, is not good understanding by the people in general. So many sensibilization actions can be helped in the future. This is important.
Thank you. Enrico Bassi.
So thinking about what everybody said, it would be nice to have a very practical, let's say, output from this. So quickly putting together something, I think it could be impactful to have, let's say, a perfect example, to have the case study to collect and apply everything we said. So finding a case study in which we can reduce the amount of packaging, explaining that that's the best way on the sustainability strategy. That it's an impactful case, so the packaging is usually hardly recycled or not properly recycled. It's hard to avoid the packaging in that case because, as we were saying, packaging is needed to protect the content. Maybe with a company already engaged in the topic that is willing to do an experiment and be used as a case study, if done together with all the stakeholders and the users in particular to understand also the usability of the final results. And of course, that ends with an educational campaign to explain that the process can be replicated. And it's just, a perfect case study that you can later use to explain the direction we should take. I think that could be an impactful way to go.
Thank you. Very spot answer also for Sir Ferguson on this question.
I think there are a number of things that need to be looked at. The first, I think, is to have a better communication at all levels, even to government, about the benefits we can get from using compostable and bio-based packaging. And that could be increased shelf life or better food quality in some cases, particularly on on fruit and vegetables. It could also be better recycling of conventional plastics by removing sources of contamination, food contamination in those systems. It's not really been explained by anybody yet. That will then lead on to better labelling terms and standardised labelling terms, both for the consumer and for the municipalities, and then that will lead into the better marking system for the municipalities. And then the last piece is really about getting government to recognise where those benefits are really, really compelling, and creating a requirement which will create a level playing field to stop free riders from continuing to cause problems in food waste collections, for example, with conventional tea bags rather than compostable tea bags.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The floor now to Milika.
Yes. Well, to tie everything together, I would maybe add one more thing, which is that we should collectively work to make bio-based and compostable food packaging more salient to the consumer than the conventional packaging is, whether that is to include a better pricing, to improve the policy, to favor more sustainable packaging, to educate the consumers, to simply make the design of this packaging more liked and more attention drawing for the consumers. The right mix is yet to be discovered, but likely a mix of all of them would do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Matteo?
Yeah, so just a quick reply to the question in chat. There is another project funded by BBIJU that is working on this, but unfortunately I cannot remember the name, but we will write you and we inform you about this. Also, I know that the GRC is doing some studies on this. But to come back to the question, and I agree with what said before about communication and so on, but I would like to stress one point to change the perspective and to think to the brands. Since BioBridge worked with the brands, I agree with what was said by Mr. Galuppo about the importance of the Scouts to be in contact with the solution. We worked with brands. We do a new format that is called Bridge to Brand. It's an activity to put in contact big brands with the people that have solutions to their needs. We work with Procter & Gamble and also with Fiat Chrysler Automobile, even if they have a research department. So what we did is to work with them to identify their needs. In that case, it was for instance, the replace some liquid for razor blades or to put sustainable material, bio-based material in the cars. So what we do is to try to collect possible solutions to these needs. We found more than around 100 solutions. Then with them we make a selection. At the end we put in contact those two brands with 50 solution providers, companies, startups, researchers, and so on. So they are now talking with them, and we hope that they will establish some cooperations. We had also a big, great statement for appreciation from these two brands, and we are now trying to, in the future, to develop more and again this format.
Thank you very much indeed, Matteo. So we just the last overview of your comments from Serena. You can intervene as you want.
Yes. Thank you, Daniele. In this last session, we have 8 replies that cover the same topics as in the previous ones, from labeling, consumer awareness, incentives and regulation, stronger the cooperation among the stakeholders, but let's read some together. For labeling, we have the first answer, this clear labeling and improved collection and recycling systems, make recognizable labels and inform consumers, that is directly related to make the consumer awareness stronger. So educational campaigns to create consumer awareness, clear standard labeling, supporting virtuous companies, and also new laws and regulation that industries must comply with the introducing new consumption and distribution models. Last but not least, to make a stronger cooperation between research institution, industry, consumers, and also end-of-life managing. So this means that it is important to create to improve the dialogue among all the stakeholders of the value chain. So before to give the floor another time to Daniele, let me thank you for your replies and for your participation to the Mentimeter. Also, thank you to all the speakers for your interesting intervention. So, Daniele.
Thank you very much, Elena, for your accurate wrap-up of the answer. Well, the bells rang some minutes ago in Rome, so it does mean that the noon is past, and we are more or less perfect in line with our timetable, with our intervention. I want me to really thank you, all the speakers and all the attendees at this event, this really participated and interesting event. Just give you the final overview of our contact. We are the Biovoices staff already at the beginning. With me supported this event also Serena Karen, that you have had the pleasure to hear during the Mentimeter presentation. The event was recorded, and it will be available on the Biovoices platform, where also you can see our next activities. From us is all. Again, thank you very much indeed. Have a nice day. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.